Hi future bureaucrats of India, welcome to LearnStroke IAS classes by Arjun, and we are listening to the UPSC exam code for 2024 examination. All of you, if you are preparing for 2024 examination, here is a wonderful series that we are bringing where we'll bring in the most important tips and tricks for your preparation for next year. So we've already watched the first class, and let's check the second class as planning your one day. What should essentially be your one day when you're UPSC aspirant? When you're preparing for 2024 examination, how should your one day look like? What all things are you supposed to do in one day? It may vary from person to person, but most ideally, if you can plan all these things in one day, or at least in 1 week, you are supposed to cover all these things, then I think it's going to be really good. It's going to be a strategic preparation. So this is what to do in your one day. And you're listening to LearnStroke IAS, and I'm Arjun R. Shankar, your mentor. Let's quickly move on and find out. In the meanwhile, you can also join for our UPSC 2024 online batch, the Cloud9 batch, and offline batch in Thrissur and Malappuram in Kerala. And you can join the integrated test series and mains test series. You can also opt in for super mentoring and join India's first sequenced IAS masterclass kickstart at just $599 to know what is IAS preparation. So do check on that, and let's go quickly into the session. Here we go. So what ideally is going to be the one day? So I think one day, it's very, very important. What are the things that you are supposed to do in one day? It's not that you have to do things in one day. The same things, the things that you're doing in the one day can also go up to, you can do it for 1 week, and you should do it for at least coming 1 year. If you're able to manage this, then I would say that is the best strategy. And a lot of people actually ask me, do intelligent people qualify examination? Because I see a lot of intelligent rank holders coming and writing the examination. But in my opinion, civil service examination definitely needs some level of intelligence, but the most intelligent person may not qualify the civil service examination. Here, what is very important, you should look at what is called as consistency. The consistency is very important. That means you need to follow something called as one very important factor. What is that? You compare any aspirant in India. Take any aspirant, whether they've got the first rank, second rank, or the 100th rank, or the 500th rank in the last 10 years, or any number of years, you will actually find out one common factor. What is that common factor? That common factor is nothing but all the toppers, whether they do self-study, whether they go and learn in an academy, or they are actually guided by a mentor. No matter how you study, there is one important common factor for everybody, and that is what is called a strong routine. Everybody had a routine. It's not that you study 2 hours one day, then you study 10 hours another day. They have a very strong routine, and if you do this routine for the coming 1 year strongly, with what? With consistency. I think that is the word. If you can do the proper routine, if you can actually do the proper routine system for 1 year, with what? With 1 year, with strong amount of consistency, then success in UPSC is really, really possible. So I would say it has nothing to do with the intelligence, because you can do one thing for 1 day, but you cannot do one thing for 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month or 2 months or 6 months. It requires a lot of consistency. That is why routine is very important, and that is what we are going to discuss in this session also. So planning your one day, I would strongly suggest what all things should you do. Please understand, let me give you a disclaimer also. These are the important things that should be done sequentially or consistently. That doesn't mean that you have to do everything in 1 day. But these are the important things that you should be doing. This is actually like a basket. These are the important things that you should be doing. So let's check out this is a small basket. What should you be doing? Let's quickly understand. Number one, definitely you will have to start with your NCERT. NCERT, or you can call it as the subject pool. You can start with the subjects. You should start with your subjects. So NCERT and subjects. So this is actually clubbed together. You can actually club it together because they are actually forming one thing. You start with NCERT, this is the level 1, you start with NCERT, then slow you go on to the standard books or standard subjects or reference books. So you have to learn a subject one day, that is very essential. So some people, they learn many subjects, they learn 3 subjects at a time. Some people prefer learning 2 subjects, or some people believe that I need to complete, say, history, I need to complete 4 chapters and I'll stop, then I'll complete geography. So what happens is, every day you should be definitely learning something related to the main subjects. Very, very important. Whether it is an NCERT or standard books, one thing that is very guaranteed is you have to learn a main subject without compromise. You should be learning it. That is the first thing. So subject is essentially part of that, and that is you have to learn a subject every day. And also, what about the current affairs? Very, very important. I'll tell you one biggest wrong that many people do. In my suggestion, it is actually purely my suggestion, and taking into the consideration of the recent trend of the UPSC examination, especially the current affairs, you will see that many of the people, they depend upon magazines. They depend upon the current affairs magazines or the important PDF that many institutions actually put, the compilations. I'm not saying that these are bad. I'm not saying that these are bad. But what happens is, they should actually be your secondary source. They should actually be your secondary source, because why they are important? They are very easy for, why? They're very important for your revision purpose. It's very important for your revision. It's perfectly good for your revision. But I say, in India, the one thing which is accessible to everybody is something called as the newspaper. Very, very important. It is the newspaper. And I would strongly say that around 90% of the UPSC aspirants, they do not read newspaper. Instead, they substitute this with the PDFs or the magazine. It is good. You are getting the content. But the ultimate question comes, where is UPSC going to ask the questions? UPSC may not ask the questions from the PDF or the magazines that you get. And please mind it, and the magazine, LearnStroke also has got a wonderful current affairs magazine, which we will send it to you when you ask for it. So we do have a collection of lot of articles, but what happens is, in one day there can be 100 news. But the major magazines in the PDF compilation might only include, say, imagine 60 or 70 news. So definitely there is a leakage. What happens? There is definitely a leakage of what? 30 news. What if UPSC asks this 30 news? So that is the point. In India, everybody has access to the newspaper. So I would strongly say, newspaper, do not substitute it. Use the study materials, use the PDF, current affairs compilation, everything as a secondary thing for revision. But newspaper should be your primary source. And for that, definitely, I think you should be spending at least 1 to 2 hours a day. And a lot of people ask me, 2 hours a day, why should I spend 2 hours a day? That is the point that I'm trying to tell you. In one day, if you're getting that many news articles in the newspaper, what is wrong in reading that? And I'm sure that newspaper will definitely give you important articles directly for the prelims, and you will get a lot of materials for the mains examination, where you can get a lot of points to write in. So this is also important, newspaper. So do not substitute it. This is a humble suggestion. If you keep reading it for next 1 year, I'm sure you will be able to crack many, many important questions. So handling current affairs is also one important thing that you should do. Subject and current affairs is also one thing that you should be doing every day. And next important basket that you should be trying is definitely, next is CSAT. A humble suggestion to all of you. People, CSAT has become GS paper 2. In the prelims CSAT, qualifying this paper has become a nightmare. It's become a very, very difficult thing for a lot of aspirants. So don't take it this way. CSAT, do not ignore it. I'll give you one suggestion. Write the CSAT examination of the last 5 years, or at least write it 3 years. You can get the question paper from the internet. Please write 3 years question paper and just see if you're getting 100 above. If you're getting 100 above, then I think you are a bit pretty good at that. You can actually take it not that as serious, but definitely you can make sure that you practice within every 10 days you practice something. But if your score is actually coming between 70 to 90, 70 to 90 or 80 to 90, then there is another category. If your score is coming between 70 to 80, then I should say that it is a very risky proposal. So do not move away from this. Make sure that CSAT is as important as history, geography and economy now. So in this case, if you are finding it problem, 70 to 80, that means if you are above 100, that means you should practice within 15 days, make sure that you practice. And 80 to 90, that means at least you should make sure that you practice at least within 10 days you should practice. Or 70 to 80, you're in that borderline. Make sure that find time at least in 2 days or maximum in 3 days. Make sure that you practice. You practice what? You should practice the basic logical reasoning questions, the basic aptitude questions, and make sure that when you read Hindu newspaper, automatically your reading comprehension is automatically getting good. Your reading comprehension is getting better. So this is very important. Do not ignore this. So I think you are getting this point. So CSAT is also very important. So please do practice that. So CSAT is also a very important component. And also the next important component would be practice. Very important. The practice is the next important component. Practice involved what? Both MCQ solving and writing practice, because prelims and mains examination is very important. Make sure that at least in every 2 to 3 days, you get so many questions on online. You get so many questions, PDFs, so many apps. Even you can actually download LearnStroke IAS app, and there is something called as Testpresso. We have a current affairs test platform where you can practice daily questions. Just do that. At least make sure that you are in touch with the MCQ solving practice so that your brain is used to solving questions. And writing, that also I think within 3 to 4 days, every 3 to 4 days to start with, make sure that you write an answer or 1 or 2 answers every 3 to 4 days. Or you can even do this every day. If you have time, just write 1 page or 1.5 page. Just write 2 pages or 1.5 pages up to this. Just write 1.5 pages. So that will give you your speed. Your thought that is coming from your mind will travel from this through the hand, and you need to do it in the time limit provided. So do not take it as light. So practice is also one more important thing that you should be doing every day. So remember about the practice that I just told you. And regarding the next important thing that you should be doing is something called as optional subject. Make sure you pick your optional subject quickly. And I would say not, if you cannot do every day, make sure that in 2 to 3 days, every 2 to 3 days, make sure that you complete an optional subject also. You devote your time to do the optional subject and read this consistently, because that is also very, very important. So optional subject within 2 to 3 days is also important. And the next important thing that you should be all concerned is regarding the revision. Very, very important. If you will not do this, you will definitely fail in the examination. You know why? Because your mind will get overloaded. It will explode out of being overloaded. So I would say daily revision is not possible. It is very boring also. I definitely agree with that. So you can do one thing. You can keep a 7-day window. A 7-day window. That means make sure that being at the end of 6 days, you work out everything. And at the end of the 7th day, make sure that you revise the subjects that you have learned, the maths formulas in CSAT that you have learned, optional subject that you have learned, go through the MCQ practices and go through the answer keys. So this will give you a combined revision. So 7th day, make sure that you create a window. So this is very important. So what are the things that we have discussed? We have discussed about the subject, we have discussed about the subjects and the current affairs, the newspaper part, and most importantly the practice for both prelims and mains examination, to do the optional subjects. And also apart from optional subjects, I said revision. Revision is also very important. And apart from subjects, current affairs, plus there is something else called CSAT practice. And practice for what? Prelims plus mains, prelims plus mains practice, optional subject. So you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 major things that you have to do in 1 week. Not every day, probably if you should be doing this every week. If you can do this every week, you know what will happen? this is not easy, I'll tell you. You can do it for 1 week, but doing it for 2 weeks and doing it for 1 month is going to be very, very tough. That is where, please remember, you can see up 10% ambition and 90% efforts. That means your 90% efforts here should have consistency. So if you can do this, this is the first step of clearing civil service examination. Definitely your intelligence, idea, your creativity, everything will matter. But this consistency, if you can keep up this consistency for the next coming 1 year, trust me, your name will definitely appear in the UPSC final list. So please do remember about all these things and know about this. So I think you got this idea. So that was today's class, and you can just check out the important courses that are available with LearnStroke IAS. So definitely do take a look at this. If you want, you can just call us, text us, and do subscribe to our channel and do share it with your UPSC preparing friends. So let's create a big learning revolution. You can learn it yourself. So share it with yourself and do subscribe the channel and listen to the UPSC Exam Code 2024.